I'm gonna give you my top 3 predictions of what's gonna happen in the real estate world in 2023 from somebody who at 26 years old has done over $50 million of transactions. Prediction number 1, debt and real estate go hand in hand, and that's why my first prediction is that interest rates, the cost of money, the cost of debt, will stay neutral or will go up slightly. Now, we're in a really interesting predicament here. Laugh out loud. Because the inflation numbers are still really, really hot. But on the other hand, they've already raised interest rates a ton and the cost of debt has really skyrocketed. We've gone from 2.5% mortgages up to 7.5% mortgages in some cases, whether you're on the residential side, the commercial side. Debt has definitely increased. But I think that we're almost at a spot where the more that we push interest rates, it becomes really complicated, not just for investors, not just for the average US household, but for the US government itself. Peter Schiff, which if you don't listen to Peter, you know, there's different mixed opinions on Peter, but I think that Peter brings up a lot of good points. And one of the things that I heard from him the other day is the amount of debt that the US government has renewing is substantial. And the rate at which that debt is renewing, you know, through 10-year notes or bonds, whatever it may be, then that money is renewing from, say, like a 2% interest rate up to like a 4% interest rate. And we're not getting any more money, but the government is increasing its cost of servicing that debt, which is really, really important because that's comes out of our budget. And soon the US government will pay $1 trillion a year in straight up interest costs, which is bananas. But we're really close to that happening. So if the Federal Reserve continues to push up interest rates, the government is not going to be able to service their debt unless they just continue to print more and more money. So we're at this really interesting tipping point. I think that inflation is going to remain high probably through 2025. I don't think there's a whole lot more room that we could go up on interest rates, even though we need to. So with that being said, my number 1 prediction, interest rates will stay flat, maybe it'll go up 25 or 50 basis points. Number 2 prediction for 2023, this may sound counterintuitive, but I think that rents will continue to go up. Why? Because I don't think that inflation is going away in any way, shape, or form. What we're gonna see here, if you haven't already seen it, is that property taxes and insurance premiums are going to continue to go up and up and up. Here's a really quick example. The cost of building things has skyrocketed since 2020. So now insurance gives you insurance based on the cost to rebuild. Well, a lot of people, when they're renewing insurance either in 2022 or 2023, their insurance is probably gonna go up anywhere from 15 to 40%, depending on where you're at. I think that that's across the board on real estate. That's on houses, that's on investment properties. Same degree, the property taxes are gonna go up as local governments look for more ways to raise tax revenue to continue to pay for their increased costs. So how does that impact real estate investors? Well, as a real estate investor, when I get an increased cost, I know that I have to pass that along to my tenant. Now, if you're not a fan of that, I'm sorry, that's how capitalism works. The governments and the insurance companies aren't raising my costs, they're raising my tenants' costs, and so it's going to be a net pass-through effect. So I think we'll see an 8 to 10% increase in rents across the board. If you're a tenant, you're on a long-term lease, awesome, you don't have to worry about that. If you're a landlord, you wanna make sure that you're in those short-term leases, you know, really a year or less, so you have the ability, as you see increased costs, to go along and pass that on to your tenants. Inflation will raise all of our costs, and those costs will have to be passed along. My 3rd prediction is simple. I think that in good markets, prices, values of houses, commercial buildings, whatever it may be, will level off. I think through the pandemic, we saw prices go up and up and up and up, and then people were pricing their houses right, above so they could continue the trend up. And I think that once interest rates started to go up, people were pricing up here and the deals weren't transacting. They started to take a longer time as interest costs went up, but people still priced up here in anticipation of the continued increase. And I think we're seeing a bunch of price drops where really we're just coming through at this same line. So I really think right now that prices have leveled off. I think that people who had crazy wild expectations have had to price drop. I think people who are reasonable are getting deals sold. Even here in my own neighborhood, I'm seeing houses still sell at record prices. So I don't think there's this huge collapse. I think in good markets like where I'm at in Atlanta or Florida or Texas or Arizona or wherever it may be, I think that we will see prices level off. I don't think we're going to see a significant decline. In bad markets where things have been extremely overpriced, where people are moving out of, where jobs are going away from, I do think that we'll see a decline anywhere from 5 to 15% in the values of those properties. None of this means that we shouldn't be buying. In fact, it's good news that rents are going to go up if you are an existing landlord, and I think there's going to be deals to be had in the marketplace. So all of this is news, it's direction, it's information for you to say, all right, let's do it. Let's make 2023 the year that I become financially free through real estate investing. If you haven't, it's time to make it happen. There is no better time to make it happen. I'm here to help you out through this channel and also through my books. So if you want the books, absolutely free, link below, and also again, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Be great.